Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly. I'm the Solutions Director here at iBwave for the enterprise market. And I'm here to give you a quick tour and demo of our newest product, iBwave Express. So I've just got a couple of slides to kind of explain, what is iBwave Express, and then we're just going to jump right into the tool so you can see it in action. And then I'm happy to field any of the questions that you might have about the tool. So let's start by just talking high level about what is iBwave Express. So iBwave Express is our newest web-based tool, so it's a SaaS product, and really its intention is to give you a really quick and simple way to generate enterprise LTE, 5G, small cell, or Wi-Fi project estimates, right? And so there's four things it really tries to achieve here. One is that we want to be able to give you a way to generate a pre-sales estimate in literally minutes, so that you're getting a lot of efficiency to understand, what the project might potentially cost, what the equipment is going to look like for that project, as well as keep it accurate, right? So we want to make sure that the estimates that are generated out of iBwave Express are also going to give you confidence that when you go to actually do the detailed design and the deployment, then you're going to have a good level of accuracy and confidence that kind of what you've put forward as the estimate is what will transpire in the field. We wanted to make sure that iBwave Express, was easy to use and accessible for everyone. So what we mean by that is, this can be used either by your sales team or your pre-sales team who maybe don't always have the same level of RF expertise as your RF design team, or it could be used by your RF design team if that's kind of where your estimates sit. But the intention is it can be used by whomever needs to use the tool, and then you can use it across different devices. So because it's web-based, that means you can use it, from your Mac laptop or operating system, your Windows, or any form of tablet that you might have in the field. And then we wanted it to span across enterprise technologies, so LTE, 5G, as well as Wi-Fi. And then our other goal with this tool is to really bridge pre-sales and design phases of the project lifecycle to keep it really streamlined for you. So what that means is that, once you use Express in your pre-sales phase and you have this high-level design and estimate, then you can send that over to the RF design team using our cloud collaboration through Unity, and they can open it up in the desktop iBwave design tool, and then they can basically pick up where the estimate left off and have a really good idea of what the high-level design is. So it gives you that continuation and efficiency across the different phases of the life cycle. Why we came up with this is, we heard from our customers that they just wanted a more accurate and a quicker way to do estimates. So some are using iBwave Design, which required kind of the full modeling, which can take some time, is probably overkill for an estimate. Some are using internal spreadsheets that can be estimate or can be accurate or also not accurate, right? Because it's prone to RF inaccuracies. You don't get the visibility of the heat maps with those tools. So it can take, days, it can take weeks to generate these. And it also requires pulling sometimes from the RF expertise teams. And so we wanted to really equip kind of the pre-sales teams by making this simple to do. Okay, so to give a high level of what I'm going to show you, iBwave Express essentially uses what we call our VPLE prediction algorithm, which means there's no modeling involved here, which is where a lot of the efficiency comes in. You simply open your floor plan and an image, you tell it where you want to model, will automatically design the network for you, and then you generate your bill of materials essentially and add your costs in, okay? And then you can send that into the cloud to be opened up in iBwave Design as well. So now I'm going to jump over to the tool and actually show you some of these things that I just talked about. So just give me a minute here to exit out of my PowerPoint. I'm going to open up my web browser. And this is the landing page for iBwave Express. So you can see it's web-based. You can access it from anything that basically has a web browser. So I'm just opening it up here. And the first thing you see is your landing page. So this is where, if you want to go back into a project, you could search for a project here. But for today's purposes, we're actually going to start a new project. So I just click here, new project. We're going to start by doing an office an office estimate. So you just got to put, you know, where the location is you're doing this for. You can identify the type of building. I'm going to keep it as an office building. You can choose your measurement system, and then you just upload your floor plan here. So I'm going to use this office space, and you simply click on Create Project, and you'll see your floor plan is loaded. You see we automatically start a scale for you. Now that's the first thing you need to do. And essentially to get to your BOM, we're just going to follow these icons along the side, and we should be able to do this pretty quickly. So first thing I'm going to do is just set my scale here. I know this scales, so I'm just going to update the scale to make sure my predictions are accurate. And now all you need to do is tell Express, you know, on this floor plan, where do you want to design? Where do you want coverage? In this case, I'm going to do it for the whole floor. So that's pretty simple. And then you need to tell it what kind of environment are we really working with here, right? If it's a warehouse, maybe you have a mix of a really dense environment mixed with some open office space. In this environment, maybe you have a completely open office space, or you have a mix of kind of cubicles and closed offices and conference rooms with open office space. So you just need to tell Express, you know, what's the environment that we're dealing with. And so you do that by drawing out these environment zones. Now, by default, every floor you add is identified as a medium density. So if I did nothing, it would just make the assumption that it's kind of a medium density, which would be something like a hotel room where there's a mix of rooms and some open hallway. But so I'm just going to draw, and let's say that I know that, you know, this side is really dense, right? Maybe there's lots of offices there, and I'm going to draw this side, and let's say I know that this part of the office is actually quite light. So it's a semi-open space, let's say. And so you would add as many environment zones as it kind of makes sense for the building that you're designing for. But that's essentially it. From here, you just need to pick your radio, and we'll do the design for you. So you could do it manually, but we want to get to our estimate as quick as possible. So I'm going to do a small cells design. I'm just going to select which radio I want to use here. I'm going to go down here, select my radio. You can change the height of the ceiling, and then you can change your power output here. So maybe I want to adjust my power a little bit. And then all I'm going to do is click auto placement, and you can see I've automatically got the design, and I've got the heat maps, right? And from here, you can start tweaking the design if you need to, or maybe it kind of just looks good as it is. So for example, if I take a small cells and I delete it, you can see the immediate impact and what it does. Similarly, you could add back in a small cell as well. And from there, all you're going to do is essentially generate your bill of materials, right? You have your estimate, and you can generate your bill of materials. So for that, I'm just going to input, you know, the cost per radio. It'll automatically adjust it there for you. Sorry. And then you can add any additional costs, such as your labor costs, right? You can add any type of miscellaneous costs here. So that's kind of up to you. What you can do here, you can give your BOM report, and then you're essentially just downloading it as a PDF. Now, one thing you can also do, which is really efficient, is, you know, maybe this office has one floor, but maybe this office has multiple floors, right? So you can very quickly duplicate your floors in iBwave Express. So I'll give you an example here. I've got the first floor, and you duplicate it, and you can choose what to duplicate, and you could choose how many copies you want to make. So I'll make one copy here, but maybe it's a 6th floor building and you want to make 6 copies of that floor, right? So when I duplicate it, I've now got to just navigate up here, and you can see I've got my 2nd floor. When I run my bill of materials, you can now choose to group it kind of by floor. It automatically puts the cost in because we already entered it for that type of radio. So you can choose how you view your BOM. Now, the other good thing about, you know, iBwave Express and that duplication functionality is sometimes customers want to see something like how does a small cells design look compared to a Wi-Fi design, right? What's the trade-off between my costs and kind of the performance? And so you can also use that floor duplication to very quickly kind of do a Wi-Fi design to show the comparison. So if I want to duplicate my floor, this time I'm not going to take the radios with me, but I'm going to take everything else with me. So I'm doing that, I duplicate it, and then I just go to that. And now I'm going to run a automatic design for Wi-Fi, right? So this time I'm going to search for my Wi-Fi. I'm going to maybe use this radio. If you want, you can adjust the power. For this purposes, I'm going to leave the same. And now I'm going to do an automatic placement, right? And you can see the difference. And so now, maybe you want to name this one Wi-Fi scenario, right? Save that. And now when you run your bill of materials, you can actually show kind of that comparison where you have, you're using 4 LTE radios. And in this case, I was using 18 Wi-Fi access points. So you can very quickly kind of show the difference and what the trade-offs are between the different technologies. Now I'll also show you maybe one more design. We used an office building here, but I'll also show you what an airport terminal looks like. So I actually had this one preloaded. Now for this one, all I did was highlight the prediction area, right? I just want to predict for inside of that terminal. And I'm actually not even going to draw the environment zone because it's all fairly semi-open office space. So all I did here was added the floor, and I'm going to use the default kind of RF environment saying it's a semi-open office space. And now I'm going to run my auto design for the airport. So I'm going to, again, I choose my my small cell, use the same one, might adjust my power a little bit, and then I just run my auto placement, and you can see here that it's placed my small cells, okay? So just wanted to show you the example of a different type of environment. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to actually jump back to my PowerPoint at this point because I want to talk a little bit about, the vision for iBwave Express. We just launched iBwave Express the end of last year. So it is a brand new tool in the market, which means that, we have a roadmap, a very active roadmap, but I wanted to show you a little about where we're going with iBwave Express, okay? So in general, the high level roadmap for it is that we're gonna add in automatic cabling, right? So we have the radios coming up in the May timeline in Q2. We're going to have it so it automatically cables between switches and routers for you on the design. So you'll place the equipment and then we'll automatically do that cabling, and then that will all be on the bill of materials for you. So you have a fuller bill of materials. We're going to also add in the outdoors to support campus environments, but also to solve the pain point of when you don't have a floor plan. So what will happen is you'll be able to look up an address in your GIS map, and then you'll be able to pull the outline of that building and use it as your floor plan, because sometimes in the pre-sales phase, you might not actually have an image of the floor plan or what it looks like, right? So you'll be able to lift that off of a map from the outline of the building. We'll add in the ability to do the outdoor predictions so we can support the campus. We'll be adding in simple DAS support as well. So right now it's LTE and 5G small cells, but we're looking to add in support for DAS to support enterprise DAS deployments. Then you'll have the full equipment placement, which we're also going to look to automate. So you'll have automatic equipment placement. And then we're going to focus on helping you really quickly be able to compare and contrast different scenarios. So when a customer comes to you with a budget, you can spend maybe $50,000, we'll be able to very quickly generate how you could meet the criteria that they give you in terms of budget and performance, right? So maybe you're going to use, radio X in one scenario and radio Y in another, or maybe you want to compare quickly Wi-Fi and LTE, and we'll show you kind of what the performance is versus the cost trade-off, so you can have options to compare yourselves, but also to take to your customers. Okay, so a quick sneak peek of what that kind of looks like. So for example, this is the outdoor. You can see here that you'll be able to look up an address of a building, and then you'll be able to take the outline of that building, and now you've got your floor plan in the tool to start doing your design. This is the equipment placement. So we're going to automate the placement of the equipment so that not only will the equipment be automatically placed, but the radios as well as the cabling. Now, of course, you'll be able to manually edit that as you need to, but the goal of Express is that we are going to automate as much as we can for you. And then the scenario planning was what I was mentioning. You know, you'll have a budget that you're given. What are the different ways that you can kind of meet that, and what are the trade-offs with the performance? So for example, here you kind of see a cost minimized option, more balanced, and a performance maximized. That'll show you the cost and performance. And then you can select one and continue your design. And then we're also looking to add things like AI queries in here. So you can very quickly query your data and ask it questions. You know, for example, on average, how many radios do we use for an office that's like open office space and 20,000 square feet? And we'll be able to very quickly kind of pull up on average what that takes. Okay. So that's the really quick demo and explanation of iBwave Express. I will now go to questions, but first I'll say that you can go to our website to read more about iBwave Express. You know, we do offer free trials. It's a good tool to kind of get your hands on and just play around with it yourself, kick the tires. So you can do that by going to our website. You can request the free trial and we'll get it to you, or if you have any questions, you can follow up with our sales team as well. Okay, so one question here is around the KPIs. So I'll just jump back to the tool. Yeah, so you can see the KPIs here that are available. This is everything you can look at. So you can look at, this radio only supports 5G, but here you could choose from 5G or LTE, depending on the radio. And these are the different heat maps that you can show. So we have RSRQ, SNIR, and the throughput, right? And then you have the different bands here. So right now I just did a 3.5 design, but if there was different bands, then you could also navigate your way through the different bands to see for the different heat maps. In terms of the KPIs, the way it works right now is that we have default KPIs that you can view here in your RF requirements. So you can set, what you can set right now is the percentage. So right now we use technology best practices. For each technology, we have the KPI set. On our roadmap, we'll be allowing you to adjust that. We've heard that feedback. So you will be able to adjust these KPIs and the percentage of the coverage area that you want to hit with those KPIs. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Sorry, I'm just going through the questions now. So the question is around kind of more complex environments. There's a lot more complexity in the environment. You know, does the accuracy kind of maintain itself? And the answer is yes, but the more complex, the intention of Express is for these enterprise type buildings, right? So if you're a warehouse, you're going to identify the floor as being a very dense area, the office space as being kind of a lighter open office space. So the more accurate you are kind of identifying the different zones and the type of environment we are dealing with, the more accurate the algorithm is going to be for the purposes of the estimate. Now, the caveat is once you get up into an environment like a stadium, then, you know, we're not going to be as accurate because stadium is a extremely complex environment, right? So it's hard to get the same level of accuracy that you get with like a FRT and design when you're modeling all the slopes in a stadium. So the more complex something like a stadium, you're going to start to lose the accuracy. But for enterprise type buildings, we've tested the accuracy. It's there. We do have a white paper that will show you the comparison kind of between this versus our FRT algorithm. You're never going to get it 100%, but we're always kind of within that 90 to 95% accurate for these types of environments. A question around the measurements being in metric. Can it be changed to standard? Yes. So that's a project preference. You can set what type of measurement you want to use. A question around public safety. Is it on the roadmap? The answer to that is it could be, right? We're trying to get input from our customers on what's needed and where this tool will be useful. So we have a lot of the capabilities that will make it possible to put public safety in here. So if demand kind of tells us that this would be useful, then certainly that's something we would foresee putting onto the roadmap. A question around, is it an additional cost for iBwave Express? If you have the desktop, the answer is yes, it's a separate tool. Now, a big difference is that it is priced to be at a much lower price point than our desktop software. Again, the intention of Express is that it is accessible to all, meaning it is priced at a point that where it can easily be shared by multiple people across teams at a much lower price point than our desktop software today. In terms of, there's a question around modeling walls. So do you have any options to model the walls? The answer is no, because the intention here is that we're really focused on efficiency, right? So with this, you don't need to model the walls and you still get a decent level of accuracy compared to when you do model the walls. Now, the idea is that you get an estimate in this and then you send it over to iBwave Design, and that's where you could do all of your 3D modeling and mols. And that's where you're going to do kind of the more detailed and more optimized design. So this is your starting point until you win that contract. And then you put the time into kind of modeling it and doing the full RF. Okay. Sorry, just making it through. Question around, can we do it for active design? So yeah, that's what we're looking to support with the DAS implementation. So you can look for that coming on our roadmap later this year. Another question around public safety. Can you provide the link for the demo recording? Yes, absolutely. Everyone will get a link to the recording of this session, as well as links to where you can read more about the product, as well as request a free trial. A question around interoperability. I think that's a question about between our softwares. So the answer is yes, absolutely. Again, the idea is you design here, you will send it to our iBwave Unity Cloud, and then it can be opened up in our desktop software as is, so that you can then build from it there. Another question around how iBwave Express, Reach, and Design interact. So just quickly, they interact by, you will be able to open up what you do in Express in our desktop software. So you have an estimate, you win the contract, you open it up in iBwave Design. That's where you can start doing the 3D modeling and the more optimized design. Okay. Question around the pricing in the application. So that's a recognized pain point and something we're trying to look at. It's very difficult to kind of standardize pricing, as I'm sure everyone's kind of aware, which is why we leave it up to you to input the pricing, because it's different for everyone. Now, we do envision in the future what we'll have is an online database of components where we will enable and encourage kind of OEMs to upload pricing as a starting point into that. Alternatively, allow you to upload your pricing into Express or into that database of components, so that it will move from having to input the pricing to at least you have a starting point of pricing on your bill of materials. So the answer is we don't have that now. It is part of the larger vision on how we can help solve that pain point. Yes. Okay. A question again around licensing. Again, it is a separate license. So if you have design, this would be a separate license for it. But the two tools do talk to each other. And we do hope to support kind of a single sign-on vision in the future where you could use both. Will there be an option to add walls or materials later? Yes, so eventually. So this iBwave Express will evolve from being kind of this estimate tool where you don't need to add walls into one where you can, right? So it's not on the roadmap for this year. It is part of the larger vision that this will become a more capable and more detailed design tool in the future. How many people can use this in a given period of time? Any. You know, it can support your whole sales team. So the answer is many people can use it at the same time. Is the ROM customizable so to not include certain components in the BOM? Not at this moment. We can certainly look at adding that if that is what's needed, you know, to add value to the tool. So right now, because we just have the radios, there's only that option. We can certainly look at, you know, whether we can make the different components, you could include it or not include it on the BOM. I don't see an issue with being able to do that. Can number of people using the tool? So yes, the example here, can 5 or 6 people use the tool at the same time? The answer is yes, absolutely. There is no limit kind of on concurrent users. Right now, there's a question around, can Express provide a design based on capacity? Not at the moment. So that is something we'll certainly look at building into the roadmap. So we've taken a note. That is part of the vision. We don't do that at this point in time. Okay. Will the PowerPoint be sent out? Certainly, we can share that. No problem. Got another vote for public safety, so that is noted. Lots of public safety questions here. Support, asking about support for DAS, adjusting the KPI criteria. Yeah, so we're going to add in support for simple DAS at first. You will be able to adjust the KPI criteria in the near future. So that is on the roadmap. I think you should see that in Q2. Support of passive DAS and hybrid DAS, that's something we'll have to look at. So I'm not going to say yes right now, but certainly that is something we can look at adding in, again, if demand kind of justifies and says that that can add value for our customers. I'm saying you'll notice a theme that when I answer these questions, a lot of times the answer is if it's needed. So with iBwave Express, I'll just mention, you know, what we do have is kind of a feature request functionality where it is web-based, where you go in and you kind of add what you think will add value, and you can also vote on features, right? So my intention with this is that it's going to be very much a customer market-driven roadmap, where we're making sure that everything we put on the roadmap is adding value to our customers. And I want that feedback to come from all of you to make sure that we're adding and prioritizing the features on the roadmap as we need to make sure we add the value. So certainly if the demand for these features are there, we will add it onto the roadmap. Okay. Millimeter wave is currently not part of the roadmap, potentially in the future. Is it licensed per user? Yes. So right now it is licensed per user. So you could, and we're quite flexible. So you can get a license per user. If you have a sales team of, you know, 5 or 10, we offer value discount pricing. Alternatively, we can offer something like you can have unlimited access and we'll cap the active number of users for you at a certain number. So there's different options we can look at. Okay. Can a design from Express be imported into design? The answer is yes, through our Unity Cloud. How long is the license good for? So it's an annual subscription. So it will be basically you buy one annual subscription and that can be renewed. You know, if your preference is to purchase multiple years of subscription, that's certainly something you can discuss with the salesperson. And then around antenna models, so right now it supports the Omni antennas, and we'll be adding support for directional antennas in the near future. I think that's the majority of questions. So if there's no more, I don't think there is. I'll just put this screen back up. So again, this is where you can go to get more information on our website. You can scan that QR code to request a 14-day free trial, or you can follow up with our sales team. And a big thank you to everyone who joined. Really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you, everyone.